Hello to all of my friends, family, and followers here on TikTok, and welcome to another edition of Apostles Me Time. I'm so glad that you have joined me on the journey to feeding your faith and starving your doubts to death. We're getting discouragement, we're getting disappointment, we're getting all of those things up out of our lives, and we're moving forward in faith. And I'm so glad to do it with you, my friends and family, right here on TikTok and all of my followers. I'm so glad to do it with you. But can I tell y'all something? And this is in line with the topic today. Can I tell y'all something? Um, Faith, people of faith, are almost hard to have conversations with. And I'm talking about real conversations. A lot of times, because a lot of times they believe that you have to abandon reality to have faith. You know, if you say I'm going through this or I'm dealing with that and or I'm dealing with this, they don't want you to say it. They don't want you to talk about it. They don't want you to put it out there, so to speak. Because, you know, the Bible does say that you have whatsoever you say, and you will eat the fruit of your words. But also, it also tells us to be able to confess and be able to talk uh, and tell our faults or tell our tell something to a friend, a brother in faith, so that they can pray. But sometimes when we be walking in faith, hallelujah, and we really want to do this thing in faith, we be like, I'm not going to tell you what's going on because I don't want to put it out there in the atmosphere. So your pastor, your leader, your mentor, your whoever don't know how to help you because you're afraid to tell them what's going on. And so you believe that you can't speak reality in order to have faith. And what God has shown me in my faith journey and what I have really been teaching the people at Outpouring of Life, and hopefully someone today will grab this, that you don't have to abandon reality to have faith. You want me to break that down and explain it to you the way I mean it, so that there is no confusion whatsoever. Okay, um, you don't have to abandon reality to have faith. I may say to you, if I come to you and say, Jane, my lights is off, you know, and I just got kicked out of my house, or I I don't have money for food, and I I don't have this or that. I don't have all of this and that. I'm not putting that out there in the atmosphere as to saying I will never have it. I'm just letting you know the reality of what's going on. But watch this. But if I tell you my lights is off, I don't have food, all of these things are happening to me. But then I go and I say, but here's what God is going to do. But God is a provider. And the same God that turned my lights on before, and the same God that put food on my table before, and the same God that did it before, he'll do it again because he's God and he never changes. Hallelujah. So that may be the reality of my situation. I don't have the lights. I don't have the food. I don't have the resources. That's the reality of my situation. But my faith tells my reality what the end result of my reality will be. In other words, where I am will not be where I finish. My faith informs my reality that you've got to change and that you're not showing me the correct picture of my God. Because what my faith says is that what my reality in conjunction to my faith says that's going on right now, but here's how it's going to end. But here's how I'm going to proclaim the outcome. Here's how I'm going to see the end from the beginning, just like my Father. Here's how it's going to end. That's my now. But the lights being paid, the house being, hallelujah, taken care of, the rent being paid, the food on the table, that's how it's going to end. Hallelujah. I may be a borrower now, but I'm going to be a lender later. Because God said in his word, hallelujah, that number one, he gives seed to the sower, and I'm a sower. I impart, I give to people. So I know that God is going to provide seed for the sower and bread to the eater. Okay? So I may be challenged in my finances right now, but that's not how it's going to end. Hallelujah. Because Christ dealt with his reality, but also his divinity in who he was. Because, yes, in reality, they had him upon the cross. In reality, he died, hallelujah, until the sun refused to shine. In reality, he was, hallelujah, forsaken by his Father. Hallelujah. Because the weight of sin and the world was placed upon him. And because his own father could not stand sin, he could not stand to look at his own son. But how did it end though? Now he sits at the right hand of God the Father making intercession for us. Hallelujah. Now God has given him a name that is above every name. Hallelujah. Yes, men gambled for his clothes. Hallelujah. As he was dying. But what is he clothed in now? Righteousness. Hallelujah. And royalty. So Christ did not abandon reality. He did not want to do it. He shed great drops of blood. He shedded great drops of blood when it came to thinking about or going through the final processes of what it would take to die for all humanity. And he asked God in reality of the situation to take this bitter cup from me. Take this bitter cup from me. But what did his faith kick in and say? What did his confidence in his Father kick in and say? Hallelujah. What did his obedience that trumped his reality begin to say? But nevertheless, thy will be done. I'm telling you, you don't have to abandon reality to have faith. You can talk about the reality, but don't forget to add the faith component at the end. God bless you. I love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.